Okay.
Wednesday, December 17th, advanced class. We're going to talk about the very end of The Outsiders. Information is up there on the screen. Good job. Let's see, and we have at least Sweater Day tomorrow. And notebook comes due on Friday. If you can't see the screen behind me, you can go onto MrBroviac.com and then you can figure out what will be due from there. And we're going to talk about the end of The Outsiders. With Chapter 11, the only thing that really happens there is that Ponyboy gets the visit from the Soch. And what Soch comes to visit him?
Randy.
Randy shows up. And Randy just sort of comes to hang and chat for a little bit because they have a court date coming up. And what is the court date coming up for?
The murder.
The whole idea of the murdering and stuff like that. And he has to go in there and do the talking about it. And that's when we sort of have the issue with Ponyboy, because Ponyboy gets into an argument with Randy, which is a little bit confusing. Why does Ponyboy get into an argument with Randy?
He says that he killed Bob.
Now, he being
Ponyboy.
that Ponyboy killed Bob, and Bob's like, you weren't. Your head was underwater, and you were going blub, blub, blub at the time. It's like, you could have done the stabby, stabby. And, of course, that's when Ponyboy's like, I killed Bob. Because he not only does he claim that he killed Bob, but he claims something else that's not true.
Johnny's not dead.
Johnny's alive! Randy's like, no, he's not. And so you have that little scene going back and forth, and they have to kick Randy out. And the reason that Ponyboy starts having those issues, Ponyboy's going through a state of depression, and he's going through the issue of his brain is shutting down. There's only so much the brain can do. Most of this stuff took place during that 1 week period of time. From him getting jumped by the Soches on the way home from the movie theater till it was the very next day that they got beat up, went to the movie theater, and then he got slapped by his brother, then he runs away from home, then he gets attacked by Soches, then he gets his hair washed for the first time, and then he gets almost drowned, and his best friend kills somebody, and they run away from home, and they get on a train, and they get to the place, and they get to stay out there for a week, and they live on bologna for an entire week, and they get all sick, and then they have the whole thing, and they go out to eat at Dairy Queen, and they come back, and the place, all of that, 1 week, from one weekend to another weekend. And it ends with him watching two of his friends die right in front of him. At some point, your brain just kind of goes, and goes out on you. That's what Ponyboy's brain does. In order to have him survive, he has to find a happy place. His happy place is for Johnny to still be alive and not be a murderer. But for Johnny to not be a murderer, that means someone has to be a murderer. So who does Ponyboy pick? Himself. And so that's a pretty scary place when you have to pick yourself as the murderer to be in there happy. Like, my happy place is that I kill people. Because that's, like, anything worse than that, the truth is much worse. So that's a scary place that Ponyboy gets to. And so that's where he starts going through and having issues with the whole scene with Randy. Oh, and the scene with Randy, I wanted to talk about real quick. And he's, let's see, page 164, and they're arguing back and forth. Randy's saying about the fact that he actually feels bad for the first time because of the fact that he's getting in trouble. And it goes, partway down it says, my dad says for me to tell the truth and nobody can get hurt. He's kind of upset about all this. I mean, my dad's a good guy and everything, better than most. I kind of let him down, being mixed up in all this. Then he jumps down again and Randy says, I wouldn't mind getting fined. I feel lousy about the old man. And it's the first time I've felt anything in a long time. And so it's the idea that he's actually feeling emotions and the idea that he's actually feeling bad because it's not something he gets the chance to do very often. Which takes me back to Bob. The previous showdown with Randy and Ponyboy when they were talking, and he was talking about Bob, he said Bob's a good kid, but the problem was with Bob's parents. Because what is it Bob wanted his parents to do?
Tell him to stop.
Nicely done. Punish him. He's like, just tell me to stop. Punish me. Ground me. Do something. Bob went to the point where he got really, really drunk, came home in front of his parents drunk on purpose so that he could get in trouble. And what do his parents do? Blame themselves. Like, what did we do wrong? How did we fail you? And he's like, I came home drunk. And they're like, I know, it's our fault. And he's like, no, I came home drunk. And the fact was, no one would punish him. He's like, that's why he kept doing this stuff. He got to the point where he just didn't feel like he could do anything wrong. And that's the same thing Randy says. He's like, I got to the point where I felt like I couldn't do anything wrong. This is the first time I felt guilt in a long time, which throws him off. Which is also, by the way, why I punish kids in class with the standing and stuff like that. Because a lot of kids don't get punished at home, either because their parents are super nice to them and they feel bad about punishing them, or because the parents are just never around and not there to punish them. I love you enough to punish you. And so I like punishing children, so I'm happy to step up and do that for you. So that's where the punishing comes in. I don't want you guys to become Bobs and get stabbed by young kids on the street.
Bobby.
So it's the fact that I'm looking out for you and you're not getting stabbed. Thank you, Mr. Brovicast, for not letting us get stabbed.
Thank you. Mr.
You're
Bobby,
welcome,
for
small children.
getting stabbed.
Unless you get stabbed. Then eventually, Ponyboy does go to trial, but that's not until chapter 12. When he goes to trial, it's not for what he thinks it's for, because he thinks it's for the murder of Bob. That's not why he's in court. Why does Ponyboy have to go to court? To see if he's going to get pulled away from Derry, because he keeps trying to answer the questions about how he's going to get pulled, how he's supposed to get to the court, and the whole idea about the killing Bob and the things like, why don't they ask me questions about that? They keep asking about Derry because they're trying to figure out if Derry's a good guardian. So it takes them forever to sort of figure that out in the scene. Carter?
I have a gift for you.
Oh, that is so sweet of you.
Hey, I need to give a gift too.
The teacher tries to, still a little teaching right now, but yeah. Teacher tries to help out Ponyboy because Ponyboy's failing out because he's sort of given up on everything. And what does the teacher tell him he has to do to not fail?
Get a good theme.
Write basically a theme is an essay. He has to write a good essay in order to not have to fail. The other scene I wanted to jump to was the throwdown between the Socs. When the Socs come and show up in the parking lot with Ponyboy, which was page, what does that say, 170? Dang, I put up there. It's page 170. I was right. This is when he's going out with, hanging out with 2-Bit and Steve, and Socs show up, and it's Ponyboy's reaction to these Socs showing up. It's the very bottom of page 170 and going over. It says, when the car drove up and 3 Socs got out, I just sat there and looked at them and took another swallow of the Pepsi. I wasn't scared. It was the oddest feeling in the world. I didn't feel anything. Scared, mad, anything. Just zero. You're the guy that killed Bob Sheldon, one of them said. And he was a friend of ours. We don't like nobody killing our friends, especially Greaser. Who does like anyone killing their friends?
That's just dumb.
Dumb Socs. We don't like nobody killing our friends, especially Greasers. Big deal. I busted the end off my bottle and held on to the neck and tossed away my cigarette. You get back in your car or you'll get split. They looked kind of surprised, and one of them backed up. I mean it! I hopped off the car. I've had about all I can take from you guys. I started toward them, holding the bottle the way Tim Shepard holds a switch, out and away from myself in a loose but firm hold. I guess they knew I meant business because they got into their car and drove off. You really would have used that bottle, wouldn't you? 2-Bit had been watching from the store doorway. Steve and me were backing you, but I guess we didn't need to. You'd have really cut them up, huh? I guess so, I said with a sigh. I didn't see what 2-Bit was sweating about. Anyone else could have done the same thing, and 2-Bit wouldn't have thought about it twice. That scene shows what's happening to Ponyboy.
Losing his feelings.
He's losing his what?
Feelings.
Nicely done. He's losing his feelings. He's becoming more like
Bob.
close.
Dally.
Dally. And so he's embracing that inner Dally about the fact that he's like, you got to be hard, not care about people. The fact that he's going to attack. The drawback is that's not what his friends want from him. Ponyboy, listen, don't get tough. You're not like the rest of us. Don't try to be. What's the matter with 2-Bit? I knew as well as he did. If you got tough, you didn't get hurt. Get smart. Nothing can touch you. So the whole idea that his friends don't want him to become like them, like, you're a good person. Don't be like us. What the world are you doing? 2-Bit's voice broke into my thoughts. I looked up at him, picking up the glass. He stared at me for a second, then grinned. You little son of a gun, he said in a relieved voice. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just went on picking up the glass from the bottle and put it in the trash can. I didn't want anyone to get a flat tire. So, with that scene, what does that demonstrate about Ponyboy? He's still, even when he's trying to be horrible and mean like Dally, he can't. He's still a good person. Even though he just broke a bottle and got ready to kill someone, he's like, I mean, I don't want someone to get a flat tire. That would just be mean. I'm not that kind of person. He's like, you can shank a person and stab them to death, but you don't want a flat tire. And so that's when he starts going down there and picking up a little glass bits. And like, oh, that's when 2-Bit's like, oh, thank goodness, you're still normal. And so you have that same issue. Going back to, real quick, the yelling of Bob by his parents and the fact that they don't yell at him like he wants. Derry only yells at one of the 2 kids. Who does he yell at?
Pony boy.
Pony Boy, because he has expectations for Pony Boy. Why does he not yell at Soda Pop?
Because he's already dropped out of school and stuff.
He's accepted that for Soda Pop. The fact that he realizes Soda Pop's going to be a failure. When you don't do your schoolwork and teachers stop yelling at you, it's because they've accepted you as a failure. People yelling at you when you screw up is a good thing. It means they don't accept that for you. And that's why when Pony Boy then tells Derry his plans for the future in chapter 12, because what are Pony Boy's plans for the future?
Oh, get there.
There's the fight with Soda and Derry on page 173, when Pony Boy tells him that he has plans for the future, and they have a little bit of an issue. Rita?
I don't think I'm right, but so like he gets mad because he's gonna have to drop out. No, he's gonna not be able to go to college anyway.
And so Pony Boy says, I'm just going to go ahead and drop out anyway. I'm not going to go to school. And Derry's like, you can't drop out. You're smart. He's like, whatever. Soda Pop did it. He's like, I can drop out too. And they have the little argument back and forth. The last thing is, he has to write the paper for school so he does not fail. And you
It's
see
his
the
book.
last scene of the book.
It's his book.
And so what is the paper that he writes so he doesn't have
This book.
The book ends up being the paper that he writes so that he ends up not failing. So he realizes it becomes one big circle as he's going through and telling the story about something that's important to him.
Yeah. Point at him and stare.